Sanji is one of those characters who grows on you the more you dive into One Piece. Rereading the series really made me appreciate him even more. Out of all Straw Hat, his backstory kept me most engaged and intrigued. There's just something about his motivation, personality, and that human touch he has amidst the crazy world of One Piece that makes him special. He got this unexplainable charm. It's hard to pin down, but you just feel it. Sure, he has a huge soft spot for women, but he's also someone who'd even feed his enemies because he understands what it's like to be starving. As a cook, Sanji is seriously respectable. He's dead serious about his role, with his moral code about how a cook should act and how he only uses his hand for cooking, never fighting. He truly loves cooking, more than fighting. Even this little detail makes him extra special, because in a world full of warriors and fighters, he still holds on to his identity as a chef above all. He's a flirt, no doubt, but in the earlier arc it felt balanced with a sort of old school chivalry. His flirtatious side was there, but it came across as an admiration for women and a chivalrous stance rooted in his backstory. He'd been through hardship, including rejection and mistreatment by his family, especially in the whole Cake Island arc, which made his softer side towards women understandable. Even if flawed, it felt like an extension of his trauma and his wish to never become like his abusive family members. But somewhere along the way, that balance started to fade. He became more overtly perverted, and what used to be a flawed gentleman cork turned it into a full-on power moments. The charm got overshadowed by scenes where he's just lusting after girls constantly. Post time skip, it gets kind of cringy, like when he was literally dying from nosebleeds over woman. Seriously, that felt like a rock bottom for his character. In Wano, the whole invisibility scene where he sneaks into the bathhouse was, well, honestly, it was gross. That's not the Sanji we used to know. The Sanji who had this composed charm and some self control just wouldn't do that. The difference is obvious when you reread the series and see how much he's changed. Pre time skip, he was still a fighter and had his quirks, but his passion for cooking and his soft heart felt genuine. Now it feels like he's been reduced to someone who's either drooling over girls or just fighting. And it's not that his fights aren't cool, they are always fun to watch, but he's lost some of that well-rounded personality that made him feel so human among these powerhouse straw hats. It's the Sanji who was the composed flirt, the guy who had a soft spot for girls because of his rough past, and who valued his craft above everything. Don't get me wrong, post-time skip Sanji still has some great moments, especially in the Whole Cake Island arc, where he was the central character again, and we got to see the depth of his story, but after that arc, he just slipped right back into that pervy Sanji persona. In a place like Wano, where we see people struggling to get enough food, you'd expect Sanji of all people to deeply invested in helping out. I mean, this is Sanji, the cook who knows hunger firsthand and has a deep personal commitment to feeding others. It feels like a missed opportunity for Oda, especially since feeding people has always been Sanji's form of heroism. Instead, we see Luffy being the one who's passionate about everyone getting enough to eat. Don't get me wrong, Luffy's empathy is one of his best traits, but it should have been Sanji out there leading the charge to make sure everyone was fed. For him, it wouldn't just be a mission objective, it would be a moral duty, a part of who he is. But instead, we get scenes of him acting as a peeping Tom with his invisibility, which just feels off, especially in a setting where his strength and value as a cook could have truly shined. It's moments like these that makes me miss the old Sanji. Pre-time skip, he would have been all about ensuring people were fed, no question. That's what made him such a unique, grounded character among the Straw Hats. He didn't just fight, he had this other layer to him that wasn't about strength or adventure but also about genuine compassion through his cooking. In Wano, his role as a cook feels sidelined, and his compassion is less about food and more about those exaggerated, almost creepy moments of lust. Honestly, it's a big slip up for Oda. Sanji's empathy for the hungry and his pride in his cooking are core aspects of his character. By not giving him that role in Wano, it feels like we have lost touch with what made him so special in the first place. Here's hoping we will get more of that compassionated, food loving Sanji again. One who's not just about fighting and the comedy, who truly embodies that unique kindness that we fell in love with.